It's a great morning to be alive, and I'm so glad you're here with me. There's so much going on today, but it's a busy day. It's kind of a slowed down day at the same time. So it's busy because we've got a lot of stuff that we need to get accomplished before the weekend, but it's slowed down because it's the day before a holiday weekend. So within that, we kind of slow things down. We start to get to experience the weekend. I even have jeans on today. So, it's just really one of those more tempered, I guess tempered is the right word. Tempered is kind of a rollout to the first part of this weekend. So, we have so much to cover today. I really wanted to have a conversation with you initially about, what it is that we do here with a Radical Vision and how we like to work with various people. But one of the questions that I get quite often is, how do I do it? So the question that I get from a lot of people, actually, one person that came to me last week said, okay, so how do you see your blind spots? How do you work with other people when you had blind spots as well? How did you go from a point of blindness to sight to vision, which is our platform, if you will, or our process we take people through? He asked me how would I do it, and I came to him and I said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do video, and I'm going to tell people on the video about it, and then we'll make it reproducible. So then that's why I'm coming to you today to talk to you about how I do it. So first and foremost is my faith. That's very important to me personally. The grace that I've been given to be able to do what I do has been phenomenal. So other parts of it are family and friends that come into this. So the 3 F's really play a lot in what it is that I have been able to do. So another F that is in there is feedback. And I ask for feedback from a lot of different people a lot of times. So some of those people are people that I first started meeting with right after I had brain surgery and was wanting to get back to at least a point where I had sight. Then I realized that I was never going to get sight, so not full sight, but now I have vision. And when I have vision, I can see things that I've never been able to see before. So that's one thing. And the feedback came from that gentleman all the way up through several other people in my life. And a lot of them were gentlemen, but there's also a number of ladies that have helped me as well. So it's all been great. I mean, it's been a phenomenal process to go through, but I'll tell you, the process has gone slower than what I had hoped. I thought it was going to go much faster. I thought I'd be able to do this a little easier, but it's taken a while. And I think that's important for us all to understand how, when we make a decision to do something different or we make a decision to stay the same, we need to understand that success sometimes takes a while. Success sometimes means going through a sequence of different steps, but we don't always know what those steps are right at the beginning. And we don't always know how long it's going to take us to go through those steps. So I have a gentleman that's come with me over the last few weeks, actually a few months, where he and I have formed a very, very tight relationship. And there's just been so much that he has given to me that I had no idea, and he believed in me that I had no idea that I had in me. So I really think it's important for us all to understand it and to appreciate, that the feedback coming from different people. You need to make sure you're listening for it, but at the same time, once you receive it, you need to make sure you receive it as a gift. And whenever you receive a gift, what do you say? Thank you. So that's how I've tried to take the feedback from this gentleman and taking it to the next level. I mean, there is so much that I've done here in the last few days, or that we've done in the last few days, that have been absolutely life-changing. So I really want to have him on today to talk a little bit more about what he has done for me and us, and how we can really utilize his skill and his efforts for the greater of the community and continue to do what we do. So having said all that, I really want to bring Wes Wyatt on. He is he's the founder, owner of Eureka Marketing, and he also helps me an awful lot with some other the Eureka podcast. He also helps me with a lot of other areas, and I'll let him tell you more. Wes, good morning.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Thank you.
Dynamite. So far as everything is concerned, I was able to find, Brian through a mutual friend. And, I told him, I said, you are just absolutely amazing. And I want to thank you for having me on first and foremost, Brian. But, one of the things that just was absolutely amazing to me is Brian's marketing. The Brian with one eye, marketing and moniker is just absolutely genius. And that really was what kind of drove me to being initially wanting to work with Brian. So really, that's it, Brian.
Brian with one eye was what led you to me.
That's what led me to you.
Huh. Well, that's awesome. So whatever it takes, I guess. But I really want to ask you more about what it is in you that makes you do what you do. You are such a giving soul, and you're so darn patient. Even with a guy like me who stumbles and fumbles quite a bit, quite often. How do you do that? How do you make it so seamless? The idea that you can just give so much to so many people.
Well, the patience comes from a myriad of areas. Number one, I'm a dad. And when you're a dad, being patient is something that you got to be, because kids, they don't know, what they don't know. They're going to make mistakes, and just because you know something, they don't know it. So it's just one of those situations where if you get mad at them, for something they didn't know that they were making a mistake, that's not very nice. So the patience, first and foremost, comes from being a dad. But the second thing, and probably the most telling of what you were talking about, is I spent a insane amount of time doing tech support in a call center, and you're blind. So you want to talk about a blind spot, you can see with one eye. I had no eyes. Everything that I was seeing was, verbalization, from a customer. And it may be something as, as insanely simple as doing all this, wacky tech support and then finding out they don't have something plugged in, so you really have to kind of start at the basics. And I know you have a background with, selling printers. So the things that people do and say sometimes don't, necessarily come through the phone, and you have to have that patience, as to how to kind of bring it out of them. Now, that's the biggest thing. So, so far as my, giving, everybody learns from somebody, Brian. And, I learned the stuff that I know either from going online and doing it, or, being taught by someone else. But somebody, whether it was the person on the other end doing it and having the patience to sit and put their information into a video or a PDF or whatever the case may be, or somebody doing what I do with you, where I'm explaining something and, I can hear the disconnect, and I'll say, you don't quite get it yet, do you? And you'll be like, no. I'll say, let me send it to you. And the reason why is because it's not always something that you get. Once the epiphany happens, you hear that light bulb and they're like, oh, or they'll just get excited. So it's again, from being a dad and lots and lots and lots of patience, doing tech support.
Okay, cool. Well, we haven't really heard your story too much. So if you would, I'm gonna just give you a few minutes here. If you would kind of break it down and tell us a little bit about and I know you have had many different jobs in many different areas, and you've done a lot of different things, but tell us your story about how West Wyatt came to be.
Well, I spent a lot of time over the years doing a lot of things, and to be totally frank with you, Brian, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and that's the honest truth. I'll be 52 this year, and I still don't know what I love necessarily. But so far as the world that you see me in now, I spent a lot of years in private security. I was and am, a big guy. I'm WWE size, fella. I'm 6'4" and anywhere from 3 to 350 pounds at any given time. So I'm a big, formidable looking dude. But I got real tired of doing the security work and private security and undercover security and just all sorts of different things, and decided to get into something that I'd always done as a kid, which was tech. I got my first computer, in the 80s, toward the end, Texas Instrument TI 99 4A computer, and used to get online, where you had to actually hook a modem up, and nobody could use the phone. Have always loved tech, and got back into the world after security and worked my way up through several companies. And no matter where I was, I always felt like I should be doing something else. And I call myself psychologically unemployable. And what I mean by that is no matter where I'm at, I'm going to give you a great West, but you're probably not getting the absolute best West, because that West was always in my head thinking, oh, that'd be a good product, or that'd be a good service, or I bet I could monetize that, or I bet I could make that better by doing this. And I was always constantly writing down and just doing something that was entrepreneurial. And so, years and years and years of doing that, and at times doing a side hustle at night, and it being very um, uh, beneficial. Other times falling on my face like anyone else. But that entrepreneurial bug and wanting to work from home and wanting to be my own boss has always been there. I mean, literally from the time I was, a paper boy to present day, that entrepreneurial bug was always there. So, I was lucky enough several years ago to be able to do this full time. And, I've been trying to give back and figure out ways that I can, kind of better myself every day in some way, shape, or form. Pretty much, ever since, being blessed to do this from home. So, I mean, that's, kind of a high level outlook at it, but that really is what brings you, to the current, Wes, 2020 version. So,
Well, so let me ask you. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people that have shaped you along the way, and they have given you some ideas. They've given you some tips and tricks. They've given you some feedback. So, what is it that, or who is? Okay, I'd like to ask who is the biggest one that's influenced you, and then secondly, I'd also like to ask, how do you deal with feedback, and what do you do with feedback?
I don't know if I could give you one person that has like nudged me along the way. I'm going to give you an answer that some people cringe on, and I was just talking to her about this the other day. Some people say that they hate it when they hear someone say that their wife is their best friend. In my case, my wife is my best friend. I'm not a whipped guy. I'm not, saying that for any reason whatsoever, other than the fact that it has the added benefit of being the truth. She is the person that would tell me, do it, we'll figure it out. And that is why I'm here today. If you don't have the support of your spouse, this world especially is not your world. You
Yeah.
know, and I know that your wife is your best friend, Brian.
Yeah.
You know, so it is a situation that if you don't have that support, you are going to be dead in the water, guaranteed. You know, so that's going to be the first answer that I give you. So far as the how do I take feedback? Um, I would say that I take feedback the same as most people. I want to have the constructive criticism given to me. I want to know my shortcomings. I want to know areas that I can improve. And the difference between me versus someone else is looping back to what you said at the beginning, and from the patient side of things. You know, I have the ability to actually take it and internalize it. You know, I may not agree with you. I may not put what you tell me into action, but I am going to listen to it, and I am going to, you know, think, okay, is it something that that they have a point before I go off the cuff? Because and you didn't ask me this, Brian, but it kind of leads into that, and that is, it's very, very easy these days to fly off the hook. You know, we're seeing it with race relations, we're seeing it with political slights, you know, we're seeing it with religious, you know, situations, and everything in between. And sometimes the narrative that you're fed will cause you to go in one direction. And then when you get the full story, you'll go in a completely other direction. And I think it's very important to look at it and then say, okay, this is my opinion. And it's still subject to change. You and I working together is a great example, Brian. You asked me several times, you know, have you thought about, you know, what we talked about? And I told you, I'm still thinking. And the reason why was because I wanted to come up with a plan that was going to be beneficial to both of us, not just me. You know, so I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. So back, kind of drawing us back to the original topic of why we're here. It's the Stroke of Genius show. So we talk a lot about people that have disabilities, people that have, you know, things they're going through, tough times, and we talk also about, you know, the caregivers that they have. So how can you wrap all this back into to help somebody like that, to help somebody that's, you know, maybe falling on tough times, maybe they've gone through a medical operation or a surgical procedure, and they're just really struggling with, you know, how do they move forward, what do they do next? So and this is not an easy question, because what we've talked about so far is totally different from this, but how can you help us from that point of view?
Well, I think that, you know, something that I have that I'm been developing for a long time. Part of it mine, part of it, you know, other things I've borrowed from. It's called the New You Day, and where it come from was a idea that I had about New Year's Day. And just to give you a little bit of a background, everybody would go through on New Year's Day and create these resolutions and action points that they wanted to hit. And, you know, I'll use weight loss as an example. You say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds this year. Well, that sounds great on that day. Then the next day, you know, that day the gym is probably closed. Okay. So right off the bat, you don't have a gym to go to. The next day, you know, you feel a little weird because you ate funny stuff on New Year's Day. And so, you know, a couple days into it, you're like, oh man, you know, I said I was going to lose 50, but you know, I've kind of, you know, already fallen off. And next thing you know, you know, even if you stick to it, a couple days, a couple weeks, if you're lucky, certainly a couple months, you know, you can go into a gym on the, you know, first week of January, and it's like this. You know, a couple months later, you can shoot a cannonball through it and not hit anybody. Yeah, yeah. So, New You Day come from, instead of creating a resolution or something that you're going to say, I'm going to do that Monday because I know, and actually in this case, Tuesday, because I know today and Saturday and Sunday and Monday, I'm going to be doing bad things with my diet. So Tuesday, I'll get back to it. Or, you know what? We're already a couple days into the month, October 1st, I'm going to do it. Or again, the worst one of all, New Year's Day. Instead of a New Year's Day, have a new you day where you have that instant reset. Okay. And if something is, giving you a slight error, have that instant reset. It's a gentleman by the name of Jeff Olson that has a book called The Slight Edge. And he says that it doesn't seem to make a difference in the act of doing it being whatever is your issue, good or bad, but compounded by time makes all the difference in the world. So if you have slight errors in judgment or slight disciplines, and you plug those together long enough, compounded by time, they make all the difference in the world. But if you wait, until Monday or the first of the month, or again, the worst one, the first of the year, you're defeating yourself automatically. You have to have that instant reset where you say, I fell off, but I'm instantly right now going to get back on. And so if you've had a setback, if you've had a blind spot, if you've had a situation where you're just, completely out of sync, that instant reset and that new you day is going to, work for what you're talking about.
That's awesome. I love it. That's a great concept. And so you came up with a new you day on your own?
I did. And I've owned the domain name for probably, I don't know, many, many, many years. I'm one of those guys that, I find something that I like, and I get the social media and the domain around it and whatnot. And it's funny because as long as we've been talking, I don't think I've ever even brought it up to you. But it's something I'm very passionate about.
Huh. Wow. Well, that's awesome. I love it. That's a great concept.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me, what else should our listeners know about you that we haven't talked about yet? What else is there that really summarizes the conversations that you and I have had over the last few months, and helps them to understand from a I would say really from a perspective of who they are and who they want to be. How can they make that next step? How can they go forward?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is intention. I don't mean to keep quoting other people, but there's a gentleman out there by the name of John Addison, who his moniker was always, "You should live every day like it's going to be your last, because one of these days you're going to be right." And his whole thing was that you need to have a decision and decide. Okay. And the whole idea of decision with him is the word decide has got the word side at the end of it, and it's Latin for death. So if you think of pesticide, homicide, genocide, suicide, they all end in death. Yeah. Well, when you make a decision and you decide, it's the death of all other options. Okay. So I would say that if you're a listener, or if you're someone that's out there and whether it's you or me or anybody that's watching this live or on the replay, a decision to decide is to do this. It's to put the blinders on. It's to have that laser focus where you're absolutely positively bulletproof to any other idea other than the decision to be awesome, to move forward, to do X, Y, Z, whatever that is. And if you do that and you have a true decision where you decide, then that there's nothing else that you're going to do. It could be something as simple as me telling you, for those of you, watching, Brian is not just got, Brian with one eye. That's an amazing tagline. A published author with an amazing book. Sometimes it does take a brain surgeon. Having a TED talk, having all the things that are out there. he needs to decide, I'm going to be the person that changes everyone's blind spots. Once you do that, Brian, and I know you are, I'm just saying, for the collective you, everybody
Yeah.
out there, that's all it takes. You just have to know, I'm going to be awesome. I'm going to deliver the goods. I'm going to be a difference in someone's life, and hopefully maybe even in the difference that they decide to keep their oxygen habit that day. you know, um, you know, that is the decision you make. That's where you'll go. But if you say, oh, ho hum, if life was, any worse, I just, I wouldn't be able to make it. Um, that is not an attitude to have. And I'll tell you something real quick, Brian. And that's hard for me. But
I'm gonna take a drink of water while you're doing this real quick.
absolutely. When I was a kid, my family was very poor, and my mom and dad were fighting about the bills, and they had both been laid off. We were living in Indiana, and they both worked for the auto industry, and GM was having notorious layoffs, and they were fighting about money, and what the fight was about was they were going to have to go and apply for food stamps. And my mom come from kind of an affluent life, and she was just not having it. And as we left the house, my mom said, it can't get any worse. Well, we drove to get the food stamps, and they turned us down.
No
So
way.
yeah, they turned us down, but that wasn't the cherry on top of the day. When we got back to the house in our beat up station wagon, our house was burning to the ground, and all that was left was a chimney and 4 car posts, and everything was in ruins. My dog was in there dead. It was a very, very, very bad day. And we found out real quick that life has got a basement when you think you've hit ground floor. So you'll never, ever hear me say things cannot get any worse, because they absolutely can. And so that story kind of drives me even to this day. So when you think that things can't get any worse, God will look at you and go, okay, uh, and not God, but just life.
Yeah.
So never, never, never say that. And
Yeah.
I know you don't.
Wow. Well, that is quite a story. So you went to food stamps, got turned down for food stamps, went
Yeah.
home, and you didn't have a home.
No, we had the clothes on our back, and had I been home at the time, the electrical panel that blew up landed on my bed, so
Hmm.
I would have expired in that fire. And we probably all would have from smoke inhalation had it not happened. Being turned down for food stamps and having a bad situation in our life was the best thing that ever happened to us.
Wow.
So, that's the other silver lining, is that everything
Hmm.
happens for a reason.
Hmm. And everyone has a story. Everyone has gone through something. So or they're going through something. So that's that's incredible. I had no idea. You've never told me that story. So that's
It's
amazing.
amazing, right? As much as I talk.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Oh wow. So yeah, even Rhonda would agree with me that that's a big amen there. So yeah,
That's an amen.
for sure, for sure. So well, this has been great, Wes. I am so glad you came on and told us a little bit about what you do and what makes you up. I mean, you know, how can our friends look you up or find you anywhere? What's the best way to connect with you?
Much like you, I also have a membership site. And if you go to weswyatt.com/members, and I think I should be on the screen, but it's not, probably because of the fact that I'll bring it up just a little bit right
Oh, there
there.
we go.
Um, if you go to that site, that is going to be the place where you're going to find, posts, podcasts, vodcasts, just about anything that I have to think about or offer. And you can find me, /Wes Wyatt pretty much anywhere.
Awesome. Awesome. Looks like we had some other people join in. Hey, Keenan, how are you? So, yeah, this has been great. I appreciate you being on here today and telling us all that you've told us. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you, obviously, but maybe you can come back on the show again and we can continue to go down that path.
I smell a Wes and Brian show in the works.
Yeah, baby. Sounds good to me. All right.
All right.
Thanks again, Wes. Take care. And as always,
thanks for having me.
Keep one eye on the road.